Su Xin woke up in a jungle. The noise of various insects around him made him unable to sleep. He sat up suddenly, only to find that he was lying on a square stone slab surrounded by dense jungle. Su Xin's mind was still in a dazed state. He rubbed his eyes and felt sore all over, as if he had slept on the floor all night. Is it so magical? Su Xin, who was sitting in a daze for a long time, finally found herself and accepted the fact that it was not still in her dream. Last night, he should have taken off his clothes and got into the bed. Why is he here now, wearing short-sleeved shorts that he has never seen before? Kidnapped? Just when he was still thinking about it, the voice in his mind suddenly woke him up. Welcome to the survival world, where your only goal is to live, forget everything you once had, and work hard to live. We have prepared a great gift for all newbies, a treehouse. Remember, don't abandon your treehouse, the treehouse is your only support. Obtain treehouse seeds *1, please choose a suitable location for planting within 3 days, the treehouse will not be able to move after planting. Currently in the novice protection period, the survivors will not be attacked by creatures within 3 days, please plant treehouses as soon as possible. What? Treehouse? Treehouse seeds? Novice protection period? Su Xin was sitting on the slate, but before he could react, a ray of light suddenly appeared in front of him. Subconsciously, he reached out to touch it, and a seed the size of a walnut appeared in his hand. Treehouse seeds. Small tree houses can be planted to provide the most basic survival guarantee for survivors. Remember to find a fertile soil. The huge amount of information made Su Xin digest it for a while. Is this a game world? Why is there a novice gift package, and what is the voice in your head? Su Xin used the most primitive method to pinch herself with her fingernails, and she could feel obvious pain. The reminder just now said all newbies, which means that there must be a lot of people who are in the same situation as him now. This is like a survival game, and everyone must survive here. If you fail, will you die? Su Xin didn't know, but he didn't dare to try. He got down from the slate, stood up and moved his body. There was nothing unusual about his body, and he was very energetic. He began to look at the seed in his hand. The seeds are light yellow as a whole, the size is like a walnut, and the weight is not light, which is basically the same as an egg. Such a small seed can turn into a tree house, and I don't know how long it will take to grow. The prompt said to find a fertile soil. Is it a joking introduction, or is the soil fertility related to the growth of the tree house? Su Xin subconsciously looked down at the bottom of her feet. Is the soil under his feet fertile or barren? What's going on with this game? Why isn't there even a novice tutorial? Isn't that persuading me to quit? Su Xin muttered to himself a little resentfully. He often traveled around and was not too panicked. The 3-a-day novice protection period shows that his current situation is still safe. He doesn't know who brought him here, but since he is already here, he has to find a way to survive. Unlocking the creator permission of survival world, Su Xin was taken aback by the sudden voice. What's the matter? What does this creator authority mean? Unlocking failed, trying to unlock for the second time, unlocking failed, trying to unlock for the third time, what happened? There was a system loophole? Su Xin suddenly became nervous. If a super big bug was given to him in the early stage, what would he do? Unlocking failed, trying to unlock for the 7th time, this is the 7th time, Su Xin no longer expects to be able to unlock any creator rights, only hope that nothing will go wrong. Unlock failed, some creator permissions are opened for you, item identification in the end, it still failed, but, part of the creator's permission? Su Xin's eyes lit up. He has played sandbox games and knows what the creator mode is. It is completely invincible, and the resources are infinitely abundant. It is basically the plugin mode that comes with the game. Is the item identification function. Su Xin glanced at the treehouse seeds in her hand, and the interpretation of the seeds was different from before. Treehouse seeds. Small tree houses can be planted to provide the most basic survival guarantee for survivors. Planting in poor soil can grow into a low tree house. Planting in ordinary soil can grow into a small tree house. Planting in fertile soil can grow into a tall tree house. This is the Creator's authority. Is there an item identification? There is something. Su Xin suddenly became excited, and his eyes turned to the soil under his feet. Barren soil, white, the most common soil, with low content of nutrients such as organic matter. Looking closely, the soil began to emit a faint white light. He looked at the surrounding land again. As long as he thought about it, the surrounding soil began to glow with a faint white light. Looking at the introduction again, sure enough, they are all white. He looked up and looked around. Slate, white birth point, it doesn't seem to have much use other than making the survivors sleep sore all over. Can be chipped with a chisel. Aspen, white, a common tree in the jungle, wood can be obtained by cutting it down. Amanita, white, poisonous fungi, you can eat a meal when you want to die. You can even see if the fungi are poisonous. www.mtlnovel.com. This ability is something. Su Xin looked around in surprise, but to his disappointment, there were some wit equality resources around. Come to think of it, this is the birth point, and there can be some good things around the birth point. The goal at this stage is to find fertile soil and plant the treehouse seeds. Now he doesn't know anything. Maybe the various functions of this world are in the treehouse. After all, didn't the prompt just say, the treehouse is your only support? If it were Su Xin who didn't unlock the item identification function, he might not waste time looking for fertile soil. After all, how would he know which soil is fertile and which is barren? But now that he has a bottom line in his heart, he can't give up. 3 days, and they are still in the novice protection period, which is just to provide Su Xin with protection. Having made up his mind, he put the walnut-sized seeds into the pockets of his shorts, carefully inspected the slate and its surroundings, and after confirming that there were no novice tools, he set off on the road. This world is so stingy, it doesn't even give you a novice tool. Stepping on the fallen leaves on the ground, Su Xin moved in one direction. He didn't know where he would go in this direction, but he couldn't stay put. As soon as the mind moved, the ability item identification was activated, and various objects around began to glow white light. Probably because of the protection of the novice, except for the sound of insects, there are no other creatures in the jungle. According to his observation, the range of his object identification ability is very large, at least in this jungle where the line of sight is blocked. Everything he sees can shine no matter how far or near. Hey! I don't know how long it took, but a touch of green entered Su Xin's field of vision, which lifted Su Xin's spirits. He walked quickly towards the greenish direction. Before he got there, he heard the sound of water, and he was worried that he had finally let go. After approaching, the true face of the sound of water flow is also revealed. A clear stream is about 2 meters wide, but with a depth of tens of centimeters, the flow rate is very fast. Su Xin put his hand into the stream. It was freezing to the bone, causing Su Xin, who was covered in sweat, to shiver all over. Fresh water, green freshwater resources that can be directly consumed, but it is recommended to drink after boiling. Remember to drink more hot water. You can drink it. Su Xin suddenly felt rude and plunged her head into the stream and started drinking. As a person who often drinks happy water and puts ice cubes, but never drinks hot water at home, ice water does not have any effect on his stomach. As long as the water quality is good, it is not a big problem. After drinking enough, Su Xin wiped her mouth and stood up. There are also fish and shrimp swimming in the creek, and the stones at the bottom of the creek can be seen at a glance. Pebble, green, the stone washed by the stream seems to be the raw material for some kind of tool. Why is it all seems to be? What kind of tool is that? Su Xin felt a little uncomfortable, but after thinking about it, things in this world that are similar to workbenches should be in a tree house. He should have found fertile soil earlier and planted a tree house. He looked at the land beside the creek, it was still barren soil. Su Xin is not discouraged, at least he has found a stream now, and if he walks along this stream, he may be able to find a river, a lake, or even the sea. Su Xin sat on the stone by the stream and thought for a while, then looked up at the sun in the sky. It was almost noon now. Although Su Xin often skipped breakfast, he also felt hungry after walking for a long time. The task must be completed quickly. After confirming the direction, he walked downstream along the stream. After a while, a green light appeared in Su Xin's field of vision. He did not rush forward, but stopped, squinted his eyes, and carefully looked at the position where the green light appeared and where he was. Distance between. Probably, about 1000 meters, this is probably the scope of his item identification ability. It's far enough, as long as the line of sight is not obstructed, the resource level in a radius of 1000 meters can be seen. Su Xin's level of satisfaction with his ability suddenly rose by a notch. 1000 meters away, it will be there soon. Su Xin looked at the green resources and was overjoyed. Delicious! As a foodie, the happiest moment is to find food, and it is food that I have never eaten before. The green resources are buried in a bush. If it wasn't for the greenness that appeared, Su Xin might not have noticed that there were still green resources here. Red berries, green fruits that can be eaten directly, with a sweet and sour taste. Although they are not very full, they are delicious to quench thirst. The red berry bush buried in a pile of bushes was full of small berries. Su Xin picked one, wiped it with her hands, and put it into her mouth impatiently. Well, that's really good. Su Xin showed a satisfied smile on her face. I have never tasted it before, but it's really good, sweet and sour, full of water, and it can even burst into the mouth. There were a total of dozens of red berries on this red berry bush. Su Xin picked them all and washed them with the stream water, ate a dozen or so, and put the rest in his pocket. It's inconvenient to not have a package, but there's nothing you can do but be careful not to squeeze the berries in your pants. Keep going. While walking, Su Xin throws a sweet and sour berry into her mouth from time to time. After walking for an unknown period of time, the sky gradually darkened. This half-day Su Xin was not without gain. As he moved forward, the frequency of green flashes in his field of vision became higher and higher. In addition to the green stream around him, he also found an apple tree about 400 or 500 meters away from the stream, picked 3 apples, and picked a few edible mushrooms in the jungle. There are also some mashed herbs that can be used to wipe wounds. Because there was no package, Su Xin could only take off his short sleeves, washed it with stream water, and tied the collar and cuffs as a package. Other green resources are some that cannot be taken away, such as stones and trees, and he has no idea for the time being. It was getting dark gradually, thinking that because there was no light source, Su Xin could not move forward for the time being. Although his object identification function seems to make objects glow, but it is only an illusion like light in his field of vision, and has no ability to illuminate. But not to mention, the item identification function at night is more useful, because without the interference of sunlight, Su Xin can see the white light and green light all around. You have to find a place to rest before it gets completely dark. Although you are in the novice protection period, there is no danger from outside at night, but it is too dark to see and there is no way to move forward. If I can't do it, I can only sleep by the creek. It's not impossible, but Su Xin is still a little worried. Although it is a novice protection period, it only says that it will not be attacked by creatures. It does not say that there is no danger. There is always a sense of insecurity here. If it rains, wouldn't it mean that you will be directly exposed to the disease? After walking for a while, I finally found a cave before it was about to get completely dark. Su Xin found it with the green light. It was not far from the stream, only 200 or 300 meters away. The entire cave was emitting green light. Black Bear Cave, green, the habitat of the black bear, where the fierce black bear once lived. www.mtlnovel.com. But recently a mysterious force made the black bear disappear, and it will not appear again after at least 3 days. Fuck. Su Xin was really taken aback when she saw the introduction, Black Bear. Fortunately, looking at the introduction, the black bear is no longer here because of the novice protection period, otherwise Su Xin is afraid that this time it will be more fortunate and less fortunate. A little scared, but Su Xin felt that she should be able to trust the introduction. This thing is a function of the creator mode. If this thing deceives him, then he might as well die to see if he can return to the original world. Walking into the cave, Su Xin didn't go deep. After all, it was completely dark inside and couldn't see anything. He just sat near the entrance of the cave, leaned against the cave wall, and took out the contents of his clothes. After eating an apple, Su Xin began to deal with the small injury she suffered today. Because I was wearing short-sleeved shorts, when I first walked in the woods, my legs and arms were scratched a lot. Now it is painful and itchy, swollen, and red marks, and some places even oozing blood and scabbing. Although it's not a serious injury, in the original world, you wouldn't even care about it, but in this world, if the wound becomes inflamed, it will cause serious consequences. Fortunately, Su Xin had foresight and got some herbs. Hemostatic grass, green, grind and apply it on the wound. It can effectively prevent the wound from inflaming and speed up the recovery of the wound. This herb looks similar to ordinary grass. If it wasn't for the green light that Su Xin's ability allowed him to see, he would never have obtained this precious herb. Before Su Xin came to the cave, she washed 2 flat stones by the stream and brought them over. After crushing the herbs with the stones, they carefully placed them on her calves and arms. She felt the cold comfort, and her consciousness gradually became blurred. After a day's walk, I was really tired. When she woke up, it was already dawn. Su Xin looked at her calf and arm, wiped off the dried herbs on it, and the scratches on it had completely disappeared, as if she had never been hurt at all. It's really easy to use. Su Xin sighed. It turns out that the herbs in the world don't have such a quick effect. It was just dawn, and Su Xin quickly got up and walked out of the cave. Even though he was in the novice protection period, he was subconsciously nervous about this cave and hurriedly escaped from here. Eating apples and berries, Su Xin returned to the stream and went downstream again. With the day's walking, the creek is no longer the small stream at the beginning, but gradually becomes wider, and the water depth has reached about 1 meter. Many fish and shrimp can be seen in the water at a glance, which makes Su Xin a little jealous. However, he still didn't waste his energy on it. The most urgent task now is to find fertile soil. Along the way, except for 5 pieces of ordinary soil, Su Xin saw that the rest were all barren soil, which made him feel very strange. He has been walking for so long and has never seen fertile soil, let alone those other survivors who have no creator ability. It is basically impossible to find fertile soil by feeling, even ordinary soil. Unless he has the same ability. Could it be that this world didn't intend for them to plant high-level tree houses? Thinking of this, Su Xin suddenly became interested. If he finds fertile soil and grows a high-level tree house, doesn't it mean that he has a much higher starting point than most people? Steady. Strive to find fertile soil today. Su Xin doesn't want to sleep in the open air anymore, he wants to live in a tree house. Continuing to walk, Su Xin began to think about the laws of soil and these materials. At present, he has only seen 2 colors, white and green. White materials are 1 level lower than green. And the 5 pieces of green ordinary soil he had seen were all discovered after green plants were discovered, because those green plants grew in ordinary soil. But not all green plants grow in ordinary soil, and may also grow in poor soil. That is to say, the poor soil, white, has a high probability of growing white level plants, but there is also a certain probability that green level plants will grow, while ordinary soil, green, currently has green plants. Perhaps it is also possible to grow more advanced plants. While thinking about it, suddenly, a broad green flashed in Su Xin's field of vision, and he was overjoyed. Could it be? He quickly ran forward for a while, looked at the place where the green light appeared, and was overjoyed. It's a lake. I knew there was a lake. Su Xin almost jumped up in excitement. The area around the lake is much flatter than the area around the creek, which is more suitable for home. Moreover, since there is a lake, the surrounding resources must be very rich, and maybe a piece of fertile soil can be found. 1,000 meters was not too far. Su Xin quickly reached the edge of the lake. Looking at the rippled lake surface and the finally widened field of vision, he breathed a long sigh of relief, and his whole body felt a sense of relaxation. This lake is really not small. Of course, it cannot be compared with the big lake where the big rivers converge, but it is also the size of an ordinary reservoir. The lake water is very clear. The middle of the lake looks very deep, but the lake shore is very shallow. There were reeds growing by the lake, and lotus leaves and lotus flowers on the lake. If it weren't for the current situation, Su Xin would even feel that she was in a park. Reed, green a plant growing by the lake, it seems to be the raw material for some tools. Lotus root, green a food that can be eaten raw or cooked. Good stuff. One ingredient, one kind of food, this is the perfect place to settle down. But is there any fertile soil around here? Su Xin looked around, and suddenly, a blue light appeared in his field of vision. Beautiful! Su Xin jumped up and rushed towards the blue light. The shortest distance between the blue bushes and the lake is only a few dozen meters. Red berry big, blue directly edible fruit, sweet and sour taste, has the effect of improving eyesight, eating can get 2 hours of night vision ability. Damn it! Su Xin was shocked again, does blue quality red berries still have such an effect? However, these are not the point. Su Xin slowly looked down. Fertile soil, blue a piece of fertile soil is very rich in nutrients such as organic matter, which is rare even in the jungle. Nice! Su Xin clenched his fist excitedly. After calming down for a while, Su Xin did not rush to plant, but walked around the lake to see if there was any other fertile soil. But to his disappointment, at least the area around the lake seems to be just this piece of fertile soil. There is a lot of ordinary soil. www.mtlnovel.com is much more than the previous creek, basically nearly half of it. The soil is ordinary soil. At first glance, the proportion of green is not much less than that of white, and there are a few bits of blue, which are blue plants that grow in ordinary soil. His guess should be correct. A certain level of soil can not only grow plants of the same level, but also has a certain probability of growing plants of a higher level. It seems that the location of this lake is a suitable area for the survivors to plant tree houses. Although there is only a piece of fertile soil, there is ordinary soil, green, everywhere. As long as such an area is found, at least the maximum possibly reduce the probability of planting a low tree house. After all, the name of a low tree house sounds unsafe. Abandoning the energy for a long time has no effect, and Su Xin will no longer waste time. Before he returned to the original blue-red berry, he first picked all the red berries large, a total of 32, then he hesitated, tried not to dig out the bush, and dug one next to its small pit, planted treehouse seeds the size of walnuts. After all, this piece of land is 1 meter * 1 meter in size, and the remaining half has no plants. The treehouse seeds are successfully planted, and the growth time remains 2 hours. Wild plants growing in the soil have been automatically removed. The first prompt made Su Xin's eyes light up, and the second prompt made him feel discouraged. Sure enough, it didn't work. It seemed that a piece of soil could only grow one kind of plant. The bushes of red berry big disappeared without a trace in an instant. A small seedling emerged from the soil and began to grow at a speed visible to the naked eye. It grew into a small sapling in less than a minute. Su Xin was amazed. This growth rate is really amazing. As an activist, Su Xin didn't just sit and watch the treehouse grow, but remembered the few blue plants before. He only looked at the soil and didn't care what those blue plants did. Just now to check it out. There are 3 blue plants in total. To be honest, if it wasn't for the ability to identify items, he wouldn't be able to see where these advanced plants were. Red berry big, blue directly edible fruit, sweet and sour taste, has the effect of improving eyesight, eating can get 2 hours of night vision ability. Top grade shiitake mushrooms, blue edible fungi, extremely delicious, and can permanently increase intelligence by a small amount after eating. Higher poplar, blue a higher grade aspen tree, which can be cut to obtain high grade wood. 3 kinds of plants and 3 different types of functions have given Su Xin a little understanding of the functional classification of objects in this world. Red berries large is a renewable blue edible resource. Even if the berries are picked, the blue quality shrubs are still there, and the berries will grow again after a period of time. So its effect is temporary, consuming one will give you 2 hours of night vision. High-grade shiitake mushrooms are also a blue edible resource, but they are not as renewable as red berries. Unless you can find a fertile soil to plant them on, even if you resow, the mushrooms that will grow will not be blue anymore. Therefore, its effect is permanent, and it can increase intelligence by a very small amount. Higher poplar is a kind of material resource. This is easy to understand. It is also non-renewable. This is probably a scarce resource in this world. There are also poplars growing in the surrounding ordinary soil, which are medium poplars, green. Still one level higher than the poplar, white, that Su Xin had seen at the beginning. Su Xin didn't rush to pick the berries. He already had 32 red berries in his hand. He didn't know how long these berries would last. It would be bad if they went bad soon after picking them. As for the top-grade shiitake mushrooms, he picked them all. The whole piece of more than 20 shiitake mushrooms were of blue quality. Although one was extremely small, more than 20 should have obvious effects. A piece of soil can only grow 1 tree house, but it can grow more than 20 mushrooms, and they mutate into blue together. It seems that the number of plantings on a piece of land depends on the type of plants or fungi. He didn't care about the poplar tree, and now he has no ability to cut down the poplar tree. After packing up the blue quality materials, Su Xin went to turn around the green quality materials. He has eaten both green quality red berries and apples, and there is no special function. It seems that only the quality above blue will have special functions. After all, half of the soil is ordinary soil, green, and there are green quality materials everywhere. Su Xin looked around and saw that there were too many things in front of the planted tree house. At this time, more than half of the time has passed, and the original small seed has grown into a towering tree. Is this a banyan tree? Su Xin exclaimed as she looked at the huge banyan tree in front of her, whose branches and leaves were extremely lush, so big that people couldn't believe it. The banyan tree has always had the saying that a single tree forms a forest, because the canopy of the banyan tree can cover a very large area. Thousands of square meters, a real forest. At this time, the tree house has not fully grown, but the canopy of the banyan tree has grown very large. Although the coverage area of the old banyan tree is not as wide as those rumored, it can reach the level of hundreds of square meters. Gradually, the canopy became very dense, and the sunlight could no longer pass through the canopy. At this time, the entire canopy was like a huge opaque seaweed ball. Su Xin knew that his treehouse was about to grow. In Su Xin's sight, the treehouse glowed a faint purple. Tall treehouse, purple a treehouse formed by the growth of banyan trees. It is a high-end treehouse. It is born with blood that other treehouses cannot match. The person who can obtain this kind of treehouse is either the European emperor or the emperor. Hanging coins, which one are you? I am hanging coins. Su Xin calmly withdrew the ability to identify items. After all, the colorful colors in the field of vision were simply light pollution. Planting treehouse seeds with no visible grade in blue fertile soil, a treehouse of purple quality grows. This should be the uniqueness of treehouse seeds. It can perfectly use the soil to grow into the soil that can grow. The highest class treehouse ever built. By analogy, planting treehouse seeds in poor soil, white, should get the green quality low treehouse, while planting treehouse seeds in normal soil, green, should get blue quality the little treehouse. Judging from the introduction, it seems that only the tall treehouse he obtained was grown from banyan trees. The treehouse growth has been completed and can be moved in. The dense canopy completely blocked the sunlight, not even a trace of light passed through. From the appearance alone, this is a breathtaking big banyan tree, and it is completely impossible to see that it is a tree house. The whole banyan tree is about 20 meters high, which is the height of a 7-story building. Even the bottom end of the canopy is about 10 meters above the ground, about the height of a 4-story window. How to get up to this height? Su Xin glanced at the fibrous roots hanging down like willow branches around the banyan tree. Could it be that she grabbed this and climbed up? But his body doesn't have such a function. Su Xin tentatively reached out and grabbed a fibrous root. www.mtlnovel.com. A sense of familiarity filled his body, as if the big banyan tree was part of his own body. This strange feeling made Su Xin a little excited. Subconsciously, he manipulated these fibrous roots to bind his waist and pulled him up easily. Woohoo! The pulling speed was not too slow. Su Xin quickly moved away from the ground and was dragged directly into the air 10 meters. Just as his head was about to hit the bottom of the dense canopy, the canopy suddenly opened, and Su Xin entered the inside of the tree house. This is too exciting. Standing inside the tree house, Su Xin was still a little terrified. After all, he almost thought he was about to crash into the dense canopy. After calming down for a while, Su Xin began to look around. The interior of the treehouse was completely different from what he imagined. He thought the interior would be a space shrouded in dense banyan leaves, but it wasn't. The ground and walls are made of wood planks with tree rings. The area of the house is similar to the area covered by the tree canopy, more than 100 square meters. The interior of the entire treehouse is empty. He was standing in the middle of the entire space, with a disc-shaped pattern under his feet, which seemed to be the door to the treehouse. Because of the opening of several windows, the whole space is very bright. Su Xin walked to the window curiously and found that although the window was surrounded by lush banyan leaves, he seemed to have the ability to see through and could see the scenery outside the window. Recalling the scene just before coming up, this is probably because you can see the outside from the inside, but you can't see the inside from the outside. This floor is about 3 meters high, and Su Xin also saw the stairs on one side. It seems that this treehouse has more than one floor. Su Xin climbed up the stairs. The whole treehouse has 3 floors. The second floor is the same as the first floor. Except for a few windows, there is a disc pattern on one side of the wall that is the same as the floor on the first floor. Is it the entrance? Su Xin didn't go in, but continued to walk to the third floor. The third floor was completely different. As soon as she stepped on the third floor, Su Xin's eyes were attracted by a huge screen inlaid on the wall of the treehouse. Why is it suddenly so high-tech? Su Xin looked at the screen in front of her, which had to be at least 100 inches long, and was a little dazed. Does the high-end treehouse also provide TV? But can there still be a signal in this barren mountain? Of course, this world cannot be handled with common sense. Su Xin was just stunned for a moment, then stepped forward to explore this huge screen. The screen is not hung on the wall, but is directly embedded in the wooden wall and integrated with the whole wall. It can be said that the frame of this screen is the wooden wall with the imprint of the growth rings. Su Xin reached out and touched the screen. The silky touch was no different from an ordinary TV screen, but he looked around and couldn't find where the switch was. There was a cardboard box on the floor next to the screen. Su Xin opened the box and contained 5 bottles of water and 5 bags of bread, which seemed to be an initial benefit for newbies. These things cannot be used casually. After all, they have a long shelf life and can be used as reserve food. Suddenly, the screen lights up. The Treehouse host starts currently available functions, basic material production, regional channels. Countless options appeared on the screen, but only these 2 options were lit, and the other options were covered with a layer of grey, as if the supermarket receipt had not been scratched. Thank you for your patronage. Su Xin clicked on making basic materials. As he expected, he could use the treehouse to make some simple tools and materials. A series of stone tools such as stone axes, stone picks, stone shovels, wooden beds, wooden tables, wooden chairs and other simple furniture. Stone axe, white. It can cut down trees of green level and below, with a durability of 200. Requires branches, white, or wood, white. 5. Stone, white. 5. Stone pickaxe, white. It can mine stone or ores of green level and below, with a durability of 200. Requires branches, white, or wood, white. 5. Stone, white. 5. Stone shovel, white. It can dig soil materials of green level and below, and there is a very small chance to obtain the seeds of the plants on the soil, with a durability of 200. Requires branches, white, or wood, white. 5. Stone, white. 5. There is also a prop that makes Su Xin feel that the game is finally about to start. Synthesis table, green. Can make more advanced tools. Requires wood, green. 50. Cobblestone, green, or stone, green. 50. Good stuff. He needs green grade wood and pebbles. These may have been a headache before he found this lake, but now there are green woods everywhere, and pebbles can also be found in small streams. This primary synthesis table is very easy for him. But first, he had to go down to pick up some branches and stones, and make stone tools. Su Xin was not in a hurry, but quit the basic material production and entered the regional channel. He was a little nervous, after all, this name should represent. As soon as he entered the regional channel, the introduction that caught his eye made him show a happy expression. This channel can chat and interact with survivors in the same area and trade resources. The current area, Jungle 188, the current number of people in the area, 9,998. The function will start on the last day of the novice protection period, which is convenient for survivors to exchange materials, but please remember, do not try to abandon the treehouse, otherwise you will be at your own risk. The last day of the novice protection period, isn't it tomorrow? Su Xin spent the past 2 days exploring in the deserted jungle by himself, and his mentality was about to go wrong. Now that he saw that there was a platform for interactive trading, he was simply ecstatic. Who would refuse to wrangle in a group of survivors? I don't want that anymore. Su Xin shook her head. Let's make these stone tools first. Because he has no tools in his hand, he cannot cut down trees or mine ores, but the materials for stone tools are branches, white, and stones, white, that can be picked up directly from the ground. So, how to go down? Su Xin looked around, and immediately found the same disc pattern as the first and second floors on a wall. He walked over and stretched out his hand to hold down the pattern. It was another familiar feeling. He subconsciously raised his foot and walked towards the disc pattern. Suddenly the wall was wriggling like plasticine. He walked directly into the canopy of the tree. A root bundled his waist and took him to the tree house. On the ground below. It's amazing. The roots on his waist were loosened, and they fell naturally by his side. Su Xin reached out and grabbed the roots again, and the image of a THRESTRE building appeared in his mind. Second floor. Su Xin meditated in her heart. The root whiskers wrapped around his waist again, bringing him to the second floor. It turns out that you can go directly to the second and third floors. After coming down for the second time, he has basically mastered the method of entering and going out of the treehouse. It is very smooth and silky, and it is as exciting as the rides in the amusement park, which makes him want to continue playing. But forget it, it's important to do business. www.mtlnovel.com. The novice protection period is only 3 days, and he has to collect as many materials as possible before the trading platform opens tomorrow. Maybe he can trade things that he doesn't have here. Just do it. Su Xin immediately started picking up trash everywhere. Thanks to his ability to identify objects, everything with quality on the ground radiates light. Not everything has quality, like the branches he needs now, only those that are thicker and more freshly shed have a white quality, while the small branches are nothing. The same goes for stones. But he has a big problem now, that is, he doesn't have a backpack. There is no backpack, and there is no such thing as a few grids that come with his body. Now he only takes things by hand, which is very inconvenient. But there was no way. Su Xin did search for basic materials production for a long time, but couldn't find a backpack. Probably more advanced materials could be made with a crafting table. There was no other way. Su Xin could only use his trousers pocket to hold the rocks and the branches between his arms. After all, he collected 15 branches, white, and 15 stones, white, grabbed the fibrous roots and returned to the third floor of the treehouse. Came to the screen, clicked on Basic Materials Production, and clicked on the stone axe item. Suddenly, enough materials flew out from the stones and branches piled on the ground at this time and gathered together, becoming a ball of light. Su Xin had also seen this ball of light when he sent treehouse seeds before, so he reached out and grabbed the ball of light without hesitation, and a simple stone axe appeared in his hand. It looks really rudimentary, and even the blade of the axe looks extremely blunt, making him wonder if this thing can cut down trees. Using the same method, Su Xin made a stone pickaxe and a stone shovel. In the process of making tools, Su Xin also saw a special tool table in the make list. Primary identification table, white. Put the material on it, and after tens, it will emit light of the same color as the level, which can be used to identify the level of the obtained item. Requires wood, white, 20, stone, white, 20. It seems that without his identification ability, other survivors can still know the grade of the material through this identification table. But this identification table is as big as a dining table, and it is basically impossible to take it out, so other survivors can only bring them back to the small treehouse for identification after obtaining the materials, instead of being able to see it at a glance like him, or even choose material collection. The inefficiency of this is not a little bit, and even some deeply hidden materials such as those shiitake mushrooms, Su Xin can see the diffuse blue from a long distance, and whether other survivors can find it is a problem. It seems that this creator permission is really a good thing. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that everyone else has the ability like him, but it should be unlikely. After all, if such a bug occurs, it is not a survivor, but a traveler. Let's travel happily together. With the stone axe made, Su Xin left the treehouse again. This time he had to collect 20 pieces of wood, green. Green trees are very common here. At first glance, there are poplar trees, green, everywhere. Su Xin thought about it and decided to start cleaning from under his treehouse. Because the canopy of the treehouse covers an area of more than 100 square meters, this part of the plant is shrouded under the canopy. It looks strange, bloated, and conspicuous, and it can no longer be exposed to sunlight, so it is better to cut it directly. Raising the stone axe, Su Xin began to clear the surroundings. Not to mention, this blunt-looking axe can cut down trees effortlessly. The poplar tree, white, can be cut down with only 5 axes, and the poplar tree, green, needs 10 axes. When a felled tree falls to the ground, it will automatically break into several pieces. Basically, there are 4 or 5 pieces. If you want to collect 50 pieces of wood, green, you must cut at least 10 poplars, green. For others, it would take a while to accumulate, but for Su Xin it was too easy. The green light around him even made him want to laugh. However, before there were no items like backpacks, handling was a big problem. The piece of wood was huge, so Su Xin could only move it up slowly. It took a long time to get together 50 pieces of wood, green. At this time, the sky was already red with sunset, and he worked all afternoon. I'm exhausted, this is too inefficient. Su Xin slumped on the 3rd floor of the treehouse. In addition to the wood, green, Su Xin also brought in a lot of wood, white. After all, he was cleaning up the space under the treehouse, and he chopped down the white ones. The most important thing is that he will use these wood, white, to make some furniture, tables, chairs, beds, etc. This treehouse is really dangling. She chose the table, chair, and bed to be made, and the material was wood, white. Soon, Su Xin's treehouse had the first batch of furniture. Wooden table, white, a simple table, you can barely put some things, but don't be too heavy, it is easy to break. Wooden chair, white, a simple chair, if it weighs more than 90 kilograms, use it as firewood. Wooden bed, white, the only difference between a simple bed and sleeping on the ground is that there will be a squeak sound when sleeping on it, which will lead to poor sleep. Su Xin. He sat on the wooden bed, and the bedboard really made a squeaking noise that made one's teeth sour. This batch of homes is really rudimentary. Su Xin shook his head helplessly, but there is no way, let's make do with it first, he really doesn't have the habit of sleeping on the floor. Su Xin was sitting on a chair, nibbling on the apples she had just picked for dinner. Although there are fish and shrimp in the lake, he has no way of catching fish and shrimp, nor the ability to make a fire. As for drilling wood to make a fire, it is completely impossible for him. It is better to save some energy and dry it. Something else. As for the water and bread that came with the treehouse, he plans to keep them, since they are all plastic sealed and have a long shelf life. The synthesis table should be able to be used as a fire or fireplace. Su Xin thought for a while, and felt that she should try to make the synthesis table as good as possible. Now that the novice protection period has not passed, and there are no dangerous animals in the jungle, there is no need to be wary, it is a good time to collect materials. Looking at the darkened sky outside, Su Xin took a red berry large. Red berry big, blue directly edible fruit, sweet and sour taste, has the effect of improving eyesight, eating can get 2 hours of night vision ability. It just came in handy. After eating a red berry big, Su Xin suddenly felt a coolness around her eyes. She looked out the window, and the surroundings were already dark enough to see clearly, and the clarity was no different from that in the daytime. Although the trees and plants under the treehouse have not been cleaned up yet, Su Xin does not intend to clean up. First, go to the lake and the creek to find some pebbles, green, or stones, green www.mtlnovel.com to make the synthesis table. Carefully walking along the stream, fishing for pebbles in the stream. I haven't seen a big green stone yet, so the stone pick Su Xin brought out is not very useful. Soon, there was no more space in the pocket. Su Xin took off the short-sleeved shirt as before and used it as a wrap for pebbles. Not to mention, although this short-sleeved shirt is a novice's own clothes, the quality is really good. Soon, Su Xin had walked to the Black Bear cave where he lived the night before. It was dark last night, and I was in a hurry during the day, so I didn't observe much, so I must go in and have a look this time. Black Bear Cave, green, the habitat of black bears, once inhabited by extremely ferocious black bears, but recently a mysterious force made the black bears disappear. Walking to the Black Bear Cave, put down the cobblestone, Su Xin looked into the cave. The cave didn't look very big, but when Su Xin was sleeping last night, he could always hear the whimper of the wind faintly coming from the cave. There should be a dark cave or something. Looking around, she didn't find anything good, which made Su Xin a little disappointed. This Black Bear cave is also a green quality, why is there nothing? Could it be that? Su Xin touched the wall of the cave. In order to verify the conjecture in his heart, he took a stone pick and knocked on a raised rock in the cave. Boom! There is a feeling of collecting. Su Xin was overjoyed. He swiped the stone pick 10 times in a row, and the whole raised rock exploded, breaking into pieces of stone on the ground. Stone, green. The rock in the cave is harder than ordinary rocks. Yes, now there are also sources of green quality stones. However, this place is a bit far from the tree house, and there will be black bears after the novice protection period is over. Su Xin walked around in the cave again, but didn't find the source of the wind noise, so she just ignored it. The priority now is to take these stones back and craft the crafting table. After collecting 50 stones, Su Xin walked towards her tree house. I have to make the backpack quickly. Although 50 pebbles are not heavy, it is too troublesome. Back at the tree house, Su Xin immediately clicked on the screen, entered the basic material production, and clicked on the item of elementary synthesis platform. The primary synthesis table is completed, please select the position to place the synthesis table. A phantom of a synthesis table appeared in front of him, about the size of a dining table. Su Xin thought for a while, and temporarily placed the synthesis table at the farthest corner of the 3rd floor. Now that there are few things, I don't plan first. Su Xin's idea is to use the 1st floor as a warehouse, the 2nd floor as a workshop, and the 3rd floor as his place to eat and live, but that is too far from the screen, and it is not convenient for now, so let's put it on the 3rd floor first, anyway. The 1st floor has an area of 100 square meters. With a loud noise, the synthesis platform appeared in front of Su Xin. A simple tool table made of stone and wood looks quite professional, and at the back of the synthesis table, there is also an illusory small screen with various options on it. So why is it so high-tech? Su Xin couldn't help complaining. Looking at the illusory small screen, Su Xin was surprised by what was on it. Backpack, green. A backpack with 10 grids. The amount of materials that can be placed in each grid is determined by the type of materials, and the weight of the materials can be reduced to 20% of the original weight. Need animal skin, green, 1, rope, white, 3. This backpack really is a good thing. Although in Su Xin's expectation, it is best to put the materials in the backpack without weight, but it is not bad to reduce it to 20%. It reduces the weight by 80%, which is equivalent to the material that can carry 5 times its own weight, and this it's just a green grade backpack. But what is this hide? What is the rope? After thinking about it, Su Xin came to understand that he is still in the novice protection period for 3 days, and there are no wild animals around. So far, he has only seen non-aggressive fish, shrimp, and insects, and he has never seen a rabbit. These land-based beasts should appear after the novice protection period. As for the rope, Su Xin thought of the reeds by the lake. Let's go out and have a look in a while. Continue reading. Torch, white. A simple torch that allows you to go out at night, with a narrow field of vision, but be careful, set fire to a mountain and sit at the bottom of the prison. Requires wood, white, 1, charcoal, white, or coal, green, 1 grill, green. A simple grill, put wood in it and it can burn automatically, and you can grill anything. Need iron block, green, *3. Elementary furnace, green. The lowest level furnace, put wood in it and it can burn automatically. Try to smelt some materials, there will be unexpected surprises. Requires pebbles, green, or stones, green, *100. Fireplace, green. A fireplace that can be placed on the wall of the tree house. Put wood in it and it will burn automatically. It will also automatically absorb smoke and harmful gases. Without it, you will freeze to death in winter. Requires pebbles, green, or stones, green, *100. Looking at these props related to fire, Su Xin touched his chin and thought about it. He still has more than 30 red berries. Large, and there is a red berry large plant in the jungle. The night vision effect is comparable. Torches are much better. But torches are mobile sources of fire, and they also have a deterrent effect on beasts, so you still need to prepare some. According to his game experience, charcoal should be able to be made in a furnace, and since it is of white quality, then white wood should be fine. As for coal, it should not be something he should consider at this stage. The grill is a good thing, but he has no iron, but he is not worried. After all, the regional channel will be open soon, and when the trading platform is available, there should be iron ore around the treehouse. He can buy some from others. Fireplace, it's not so necessary now. In summer, wearing short sleeves or even can make you sweat all over, and it's very hot at night. At present, you don't need such a thing at all. Come to think of it, most survivors wouldn't make a synthesis table so early. After all, the two green materials are hard to find. If winter comes early, wouldn't a large area freeze to death? Su Xin looked at the time on the screen. It was already past 11 o'clock in the evening, and it was the third day of the novice period. He clicked on the regional channel, and the countdown to the opening time was displayed on it. There are 6 hours and 53 minutes until the opening of the channel. It seems that the regional channel will be opened at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning. Su Xin lay down on the creaking wooden bed. After a long day of exhaustion, he soon fell asleep. Su Xin was woken up by the sound. The regional channel is open, the current area, Jungle 188, the current number of people in the area, 9,997. From today onwards, you are no longer alone. The last warning, don't abandon the little treehouse that belongs only to you. Now, live with other survivors. Su Xin, who was still angry at the beginning, jumped out of bed when she heard the sound. Su Xin placed the bed on the edge of the screen, and he directly reached out and clicked on the regional channel option. There are also two small channels in the channel, namely the chat hall and the trading platform, which are similar to Su Xin's imagination. www.mtlnovel.com can't wait to open the chat hall, and no one speaks in it. Suddenly, a line of words appeared in the originally quiet chat hall. Anyone there? Immediately, the hall became lively. There really is someone. Fuck. Finally. 2 days, 2 days. Do you know how I spent these 2 days? What the is going on now? The chat hall was instantly flooded with various replies. Are the brothers in the treehouse now? Yes, yes, it started with a treehouse seed. Is everyone like this? Me too. Me too. Don't say it, this display screen is quite technological. Does anyone know how to get back? I haven't saved the game yet. I fell asleep on the table and came here. Seeing that people were constantly talking in the chat channel, Su Xin couldn't help but smile. Some of these conversations were with names, while others were displayed anonymously. Su Xin clicked on the chat box and found that it was a function similar to voice input. Please choose whether to be anonymous. Su Xin chose yes. Let's take a look first. He tried to call the names of some acquaintances, including parents and friends, but no one responded. Instead, he set off a wave of searching for relatives and friends. Zhang-san, is Zhang-san there? Is Zhang-san in this area? Li Si, your father told you to go home for dinner. Wang Wu, I'm your girlfriend, please contact me when you see it. However, only those who shouted, but rarely responded, and the few were just because of the same name. Su Xin thought for a while and asked, my friends, how old are you? After asking once, it was quickly dismissed. There was no other way, so Su Xin had to ask a few more times. What's wrong? I just graduated from college and started working. I'm 18, and I'm in my freshman year. I'm also in college, I'm in my third year. You are all so young. I'm 29, and I'm a 3-year-old. Brother, shake hands, I'm 28, my mother is solo, is there a young lady here? When is this going to return, Miss SP? What's wrong with SP, Miss is just in need. Su Xin looked at the age of these people. The youngest was 18 years old, and the oldest was only 30 years old. It was probably such an age range. He himself has just graduated from university less than a year ago. He was adjusted for the postgraduate entrance examination for the senior year. He didn't go. He studied for another year. It seems that they are all between the ages of 18 and 30. Su Xin said to herself. He didn't turn off voice recording, so this sentence was sent to the chat room. Really? Damn it, I just turned 18. Is this compensation for being restricted from playing games before I turned 18? Let me only play games for the rest of my life. Yesterday was my 31st birthday, so I almost didn't use it. Why didn't I give birth 2 days earlier? After continuing to observe for a long time, Su Xin gradually came to know what kind of people the survivors who came to this world were like. First of all, they are between the ages of 18 and 30, from all over the country, and they are relatively healthy. According to the words of several brothers and sisters in their 30s, they are either unmarried or married and have no children. It seems that this game is quite principled in the selection of survivors. It seems that even if they disappear from the world, it will not affect the lives of others too much. Their parents are not too old, and they do not live very young. Children who can't take care of themselves. To be honest, Su Xin breathed a sigh of relief. He was still worried about his relatives being involved in this survival game these days, but it seems unlikely at the moment. Of course, it is not ruled out that this is just the age group of their district, but Su Xin is still more willing to believe that it is beneficial to him. Family, what should I do now? Yeah, I've been staying in the treehouse for the past 2 days and dare not go out. I'm running out of bread and water. Everyone has bread and water. I thought I was lucky enough to open it. At this time, the frequency of talking in the chat hall gradually decreased, and many people should have already walked out of the treehouse and started to work. Su Xin is not in a hurry to work, he is very efficient. He took a bite out of an apple and asked, "Where did you all plant the treehouse seeds? Where else can I plant it? After walking for a long time, it's a tree, so I can only plant it casually. I found a creek and planted it by the creek. True or false? Then don't you have a lot of water resources? Good brother, ask for water. My 5 bottles of water are almost finished." Su Xin was eating the fruit breakfast and watching their reactions. At least the ones who are talking now have only found Xioxi at most, and have not found a resource area like him. Is everyone a low tree house? Someone asked. Otherwise? Are there different tree houses? It's just a novice. It would be nice to have a low tree house. I'm also low and too small. It's less than 20 square meters, which is about the size of our dormitory. Although other people don't have Su Xin's ability to identify and can't see the grade and color of the item, they can still see the name of the item, just like when he didn't have this ability, he could also see the introduction of the treehouse seeds, but the introduction very concise. Suddenly a person's speech caught his attention. What low treehouse? Isn't it a treehouse? Su Xin noticed that this person was not anonymous, but sent a message in his own name. Li Wengzi, looks like a woman's name. However, her speech was not very outstanding among a bunch of speeches, and was quickly brushed off. It seems that there are still people with good luck, but people like him who find a fertile soil should not be found among the nearly 10,000 people. If they can be found by luck, it is not just the European emperor. That is the son of plains. Unless he has the same ability as himself. After exiting the chat room, Su Xin clicked into the trading platform, which was already full of transactions. Wood, white, 20 in exchange for bottled water, green, 1 or other water resources. Stone, white, *10 in exchange for any food. You don't need to look at these transactions. With equality, wood and stones can be easily obtained by everyone. If you sell these things, you will exchange them for food and water. No one will exchange them at all. Su Xin shook her head. Just as she was about to close the trading platform and prepare to go out, she suddenly saw a transaction message. Iron ore, green, can be exchanged for any blue quality materials, and the specific amount can be discussed privately. Oh! Su Xin's eyes lit up. Iron ore. He remembered that there are iron blocks, green, in the raw material of the barbecue, which should be smelted from this iron ore. And the exchange is blue quality materials, so this person must have used the identification table to identify the blue quality materials, otherwise he would not know that the higher level is blue quality. Thinking of that identification table, primary identification table, white, place the material on it, and after tens, it will emit light of the same color as the level, which can be used to identify the level of the obtained item. It requires wood, white, 20, stone, white, 20, which is useless to him, but it is the most basic tool that other survivors must have. Taking a look at the sender of the transaction, Su Xin was taken aback. Li Wengzi. The woman who planted the treehouse just now. www.mtlnovel.com seems to have this name? I was really lucky. Not only did I plant a small treehouse, but I also found blue quality materials and iron ore. Hey? Isn't this woman also in a resource area similar to his? Su Xin quickly started a private chat with her. Hello, do you have iron ore? There was a quick reply, well, change to blue quality materials. Do you also have blue quality materials in your hand? Su Xin asked again. After hesitating for a while, he replied, yet. This girl is a little cold. A red berry that can provide 2 hours of night vision, would you like it? Su Xin was open and honest without talking nonsense. Yes. The other side replied quickly this time, how much iron ore do you want to exchange? I want to do a long-term deal with you, but before that, I want to know the function of the blue material you discovered. The other party didn't talk nonsense. It should be because he knew that blue materials had special effects, so he believed him more and replied directly, stone, blue. You only need to use one when making stone tools, which can greatly increase the efficiency of the tool. Fuck! Su Xin exclaimed directly, this is a good thing, he is now using a stone axe to chop down a green tree, it takes 10 axes to cut it down, this thing can actually improve efficiency. Remember that a stone tool has only 200 durability, so cutting less will not only improve efficiency, but also allow an axe to cut more trees. And the current stone pickaxes can't mine blue quality stones at all, and these stones are even more precious. Because it was voice input, Su Xin's words were directly sent out, which made him a little embarrassed. A string of ellipses came from there. Is this stone for sale? I want 3. Su Xin said straight to the point. It depends on the conditions you give. That side is also very smart. Su Xin thought for a while and said, you should have a lot of green stones, I have a lot of green wood here, I will provide you with 50 green wood to help you build the crafting table, and you will give me 3 blue wood. Stone. Su Xin directly turned against the guest. I haven't returned there for a long time, so I must be thinking. 60 green wood, and, I want your red berries. Yes, but red berries need to be exchanged for iron ore, 20 iron ore for 1. Make a deal. The other party initiates a transaction with you, stone, blue, 3 in exchange for wood, green, 60. Is it so resolute? Su Xin reluctantly cancelled the trade and said, I don't have that much green wood now, so I have to go down and chop some. Let's trade berries first. How many do you want? 3 first. Su Xin initiated the transaction. You initiated a transaction, red berry big, blue, *3 in exchange for iron ore, green, 60. The other party accepts the transaction and obtains iron ore, green, 60. The other party initiates a transaction with you, stone, blue, *1 in exchange for none hui. Su Xin was a little confused. What did you mean? Is this going to give him one? I'll give you one first. You can quickly make a new axe to chop down trees, and I'll give you the remaining 2 when it's finished. The other side explained. Kind of cute. Su Xin couldn't help but smile, but it seems that the blue stones on her side may not be too small, perhaps the same as the large number of red berries in his hand. Su Xin accepted the deal, sent her a favor, and immediately made a new axe. Improved version of stone axe, green. It can cut down trees of blue level and below, because it has become tougher and sharper due to the addition of higher level stone materials, with a durability of 200. So comfortable, you can actually cut down blue level trees. It seems that we must have a good relationship with this Li Wengzi. He suddenly remembered that he had also found a blue-grade poplar tree. The function of blue-grade wood may be similar to that of blue-grade stones. Now that he has this axe in his hand, it seems that it is time to put that a blue tree was cut down. On the other side, in a treehouse a circle smaller than Su Xin, a girl with short hair was carefully looking at the red berries in her hands. A simple novice short-sleeved shorts, tall figure, from the exposed fair and firm arms and legs, it can be seen that she often works out to keep in shape. With the eyesight effect, can you get 2 hours of night vision ability? As expected, blue quality items really have additional abilities. The girl muttered to herself. This is a 2-story tree house, each floor is about 50 square meters, and at this time Li Wengzi was on the 2nd floor, sitting in front of the screen. Li Wengzi walked to the 1st floor of the tree house and looked at the various stones and iron ore piled up on this floor. Yesterday, she saw that the trading platform would be open today. She knew that these stones and ores should be able to be traded for good things, so she did a whole day of mining work, which really made her very tired. In order to carry these things, she traveled back and forth for an unknown number of times. Fortunately, her treehouse is very close to the mine, and her physical fitness is much better than that of ordinary girls, so she can carry them all back. But even so, today, her limbs are still sore, and her legs are shaking a little when she walks. After all, she is overloaded with carrying all day, and even if she exercises regularly, her body can't bear it. So she didn't plan to go out again today, and wanted to use these things to trade some other materials on the trading platform. This guy seems to be very powerful. The synthesis table has already been made. Yesterday, I cut down a tree for a long time, and I didn't even see a shadow of green wood. It was all white. Li Wengzi propped up her trembling legs and returned to the 2nd one. He lay back on the wooden bed and sighed. He's a big guy, but it seems that there is no source of iron ore, so we should be able to cooperate with him. Li Wengzi's treehouse is located next to a mine, and there is a small stream passing by. She stopped when she came here because she felt that there are 2 kinds of resources in this location. If you walk aimlessly, it is better to take root here. The low tree house is only more than 20 square meters and only has 1 floor. Could it be that my tree house is more advanced than theirs? Li Wengzi was a little overjoyed. She is only a sophomore student. Into this unknown world. I don't know what that guy's tree house looks like. Maybe mine is better. Li Wengzi was delighted, and continued to lie on the bed sideways, flipping through the text in the chat hall. So far, only Su Xin has asked about her iron ore, and she thinks it is. After all, at this stage, everyone has not even made a synthesis platform. They can only use the identification platform to identify the level of materials. Survivors can only rely on Mongolia to obtain materials. So iron ore is useless for the vast majority of people at this stage. If that anonymous guy is really trustworthy, it's not impossible to sell him a few pieces of blue iron ore. Seeing that he couldn't see anything from the chat hall, Li Wengzi's thoughts returned to Su Xin. She put all the blue quality materials on the second floor. At this time, there was an ore that looked obviously different from ordinary iron ore on her identification table, emitting a blue light. Because she has stones, blue, her tools can collect blue materials. www.mtlnovel.com. Iron ore, blue. When smelting iron ore, you only need to add one piece to smelt iron blocks, blue, affordable and easy to use. Suddenly, Su Xin sent her a message. Hey, why did this guy come back so quickly? On the other side, Su Xin took the newly made stone axe, green, and came under the treehouse. The bottom half of his treehouse has not been cleaned up, and it is basically poplar, with half and half of white quality and green quality. He swung his axe towards the nearest poplar, white. Crack! The poplar tree snapped, fell to the ground and broke into 5 pieces. Really? Su Xin's eyes straightened when he saw the sharp axe in his hand. He remembered that it took 5 strokes to chop off a wit equality poplar tree. He chopped down a poplar, green, again, once, twice. Crack! The poplar, green, fell down forever. This is too strong. 5 times the efficiency, 1 axe tops 5 axe, is this the power of blue quality materials? It's no more useful than some ghost red berries. So Su Xin, like a of war, cut down all the remaining trees under his tree house, and the ground was covered with white and green wood. Because it is under the tree house, there is basically no need to carry it. He only needs to grab the wood and let the tree house take him up. Soon, he piled up all the wood on the first floor, and then initiated a transaction with Li Wengzi. You initiated a transaction, wood, green, 60 in exchange for stone, blue, 2. Sure enough, it seems that as long as the materials are in the tree house, they can be traded anywhere. The other party accepts the transaction and gets a stone, blue, *2. Apart from anything else, he immediately wanted to use a piece of stone, blue, to make a stone pickaxe. He planned to get more stones, green, and come back today. After all, it is the Black Bear mine. After the novice protection period is over, he can't go there again until he can beat the Black Bear. At this time, Li Wengzi sent him a message. Why did you collect it so quickly? Are there green trees all around you? Su Xin looked out the window. At least the large circle surrounding the lake was full of rich green, and the trees he chopped down in the past 2 days were probably not even a fraction of a %. So he returned, yes, I have no shortage of wood. Then do you have a lot of food? The other side asked again. What do you want to ask? Su Xin did not rush to answer, but instead asked. A voice chat suddenly came from the other side, which shocked Su Xin. Can you still have voice chat? After thinking about it, he still connected. A nice girl's voice came from the screen. Hello? Hello? Can you hear me? The girl's energetic voice made Su Xin feel a lot more energetic, and replied, I can hear you. You want to cooperate with me, right? Wow, your voice is so good. Su Xin couldn't help but want to laugh at the girl's compliment over there. He remembered that when he first communicated with this Li Wengzi, she was very cold. Yes, I want to cooperate with you, so you don't have much food there. Li Wengzi continued to ask. Enough for me to eat. Su Xin didn't tell her that there were many wild fruit trees in this forest, and he was by the lake. There were many fish and shrimp in the lake, and there were many apple trees in the forest. There was no shortage of food at all, and he even raised a group of everyone is fine. That's good. To tell you the truth, I have a lot of green level and above stones and ores, but the trees are all white. You don't have many stones and ores, so how about we exchange resources? I'll exchange stone for your wood. The girl's voice sounded a little excited. Then why are you asking me how much food? Isn't that afraid that your food will ruin my food? I just have enough to eat, but I can't support you. The girl said her true thoughts indifferently, in a word, do you agree or not? This girl, Su Xin thought about the fact that she gave herself a blue stone directly before, and couldn't help asking, aren't you afraid that I will lie to you? What's there to deceive? I do have my things, and there is a trading platform, you can't deceive me. The big deal is that if I don't change it, I will find someone else to exchange it. It makes sense, but it's a bit unpleasant. But Su Xin didn't care, he liked Li Wengzi's character quite a bit, and he didn't feel awkward, so he said, I'm fine, I'm afraid you won't have enough stones there. Just kidding, I'm beside the mine. You're telling me what to say. The girl suddenly exasperated. What are you talking about? Even if I know what you are doing next to the mine, I can still fly over there. Su Xin laughed angrily, this girl is really interesting. But knowing that she was beside the mine, Su Xin was relieved. That's right. Li Wengzi scratched her head, her pretty face blushing a little. Suddenly she thought of something. Oh, I don't know your name yet, what are you doing anonymously? Su Xin thought about it and thought about it. Don't be anonymous to her partners, so she only let her name go. Su Xin, good name, how old are you? Just graduated from college. Yeah, I'm only a sophomore. You are older than me. Well, Su Xin, do you have wood now? I still want it. Li Wengzi was quite familiar with it. I gave it to you just now, you. Hey, wait a minute. Li Wengzi suddenly interrupted Su Xin and ended the call. Su Xin was wondering what she was going to do when the system prompt sounded. Li Wengzi made a video call to you, do you accept it? Can you make video calls? This girl is really courageous, and made a direct video call with the person who had just chatted a few words. However, he can also understand that it is more realistic to talk about cooperation or face-to-face, and he can't do anything to each other except watching. Accept. The image of a girl suddenly appeared on the screen, with a delicate face, almond eyes, thin lips, and short hair that reached about the chin, making her whole person look full of vitality. If you put it in the previous world, it is probably the feeling of a beautiful little police flower. The other party's eyes lit up when he saw him, and he said, you're quite handsome. That is required. Su Xin smiled and said, you're not bad either. I'm the flower of our department. The little beauty held her chest up on her hips, but she was quite cute, but her chest, a little bigger than Su Xin. Awesome. Hehe, I just wanted to show you, wow. Why is your treehouse so big? Li Wengzi stared at Su Xin's back, the wide and empty space immediately stunned her. Seeing her expression, Su Xin snickered inwardly and said, I don't know either, it's so big when it's grown. By the way, why do you feel a little small? The little beauty was suddenly discouraged. She opened the video to show Su Xin her tree house. After all, the information obtained in the chat hall was all low trees with only about 20 square meters. House. My tree house has 2 floors. The little beauty looked dissatisfied and continued to argue. Well, it's really good. Hey, right. But I have 3 floors. Li Wengzi was dumbfounded. www.mtlnovel.com. Seeing Li Wengzi's appearance, Su Xin finally couldn't hold back, she smiled and leaned back and forth, seeing the little beauty's face gradually blushing in the video, he couldn't bear it. Jean smiled and asked, by the way, what did you want to show me just now? It doesn't matter if he doesn't ask. When he asked, the little beauty's face suddenly flushed red, she dodged her eyes in panic, and directly picked up a piece of ore beside him to show him, this. I want to give look at this. Although the screen was separated, Su Xin could still see the blue light emitting from the ore. Iron ore, blue. When smelting iron ore, you only need one piece to smelt iron blocks, blue, which is affordable and easy to use. You still have blue iron ore. Su Xin's eyes also brightened. According to the role of the stone, blue, he can generally infer what the iron, blue, does. This is a rare good thing. Yes, as I said, you don't have to worry about the stone. No, no, why is your treehouse so big? Li Wengzi couldn't help it. She looked at Su Xin's incomparably spacious room and asked enviously, "Road?" It's okay to tell her a little. This is a tall little tree house, a purple tree house. Su Xin raised her eyebrows and said, "Purple, purple quality? So is the purple above the blue." The little beauty murmured, then looked at him with envy in her eyes. "You are so lucky, I thought I was lucky." "It's good enough, it doesn't seem to be comparable to you." She didn't think in any other direction at all, and she couldn't think that the change of the treehouse was caused by the fertility of the soil. After all, except for the phrase "remember to find a fertile soil on the treehouse seed," she didn't know anything at all, and thought this sentence was just a joke like other introductions.